Hey everyone, Tech OG here, representing those who are 40 and up with other tech. And this is finally going to be my review on the LG V60 that I purchased on eBay a few weeks ago. And I bought this to replace my Note 10 that I gave to my mom, who kind of needed another phone. She already had an LG, but it was a cheap model LG. And the screen broke on it, and it was just too big and too cumbersome for her to use. So I decided to give her my trusty Note 9 that I purchased from eBay and was using for a while, that I really liked, but kind of wanted a different phone because it did not have a micro SD card slot on the tray, and I really kind of needed that in my phone. So I gave her the Note 10 and decided to try this one because this one was rated the most underrated phone of 2020. So I just wanted to see what this was all about and just see what I liked about it and what I didn't like about it, and tell you my final thoughts of the review. Okay, as far as things I liked, the first thing that I liked that I noticed on the phone for a phone released in 2020, which is a great headphone jack. Now, there are a lot of phones, especially from the bigger companies that sell a lot of phones, that have done away with the headphone jack. Apple being the first, of course, to do away with the headphone jack. Then Samsung, and then everybody else started copying. I'm glad that LG said, hey, let's bring it back for 2020. So this was a great addition that they put on the phone. Second thing I liked about this phone, especially this phone being under $1,000, this has a Snapdragon 865 processor in here. So you should know that processors don't really do a whole lot when it comes to browsing the internet. I mean, you may be able to render pages faster, but it doesn't do a whole lot as far as the daily things that you mainly do on your phone. But when it comes to rendering video, just like on a computer, the better your processor or your GPU, graphics processing unit, the better it can render videos or process videos. So if you wanted to submit a 4K video on YouTube, you can submit it a lot faster on this phone here with this processor than with a phone 2 years old. So if you were looking at a Snapdragon 845 processor in the phone, you would not be able to render videos as fast as this phone here with a Snapdragon 865. Another thing that I liked about this phone, this one has a micro SD card slot, and for, like I said, in 2020 you don't see a lot of phones with that. And so for this being one of LG's flagship phones, it was great to see that it has a micro SD card slot, and you can expand your storage up to 2 terabytes if you can actually find a micro SD card of 2 terabytes. That's from a legit company, not one from China, from a legit company like SanDisk or let's see, there's some other ones, Lexar. There you go. So like I said, there's not one right now that's 2 terabytes, but I know SanDisk has released a 1 terabyte one. You can get one with A2 speed or A1 speed. So you can expand it up to 1 terabyte, which I've done a number of times when I tried out a card in the phone. So like I said, you can expand your storage that way because of the micro SD card slot. This next little thing, and I say little because a lot of people probably don't pay attention to this thing, the power button is on the right side of the phone. Now with the Note 10 that I've had, the power button was on the left side. I didn't like it on the left side. It was kind of cumbersome to turn on the phone from the left side of the phone in my hand. It's much easier on the right side for me, so I could just take my index finger, just turn it off, turn it on when needed, done, ready to go. So it just feels better on the right side. Another feature that many phones have right now in 2020, and I believe I don't know which company started it first, but the stereo speaker idea, awesome idea, even though the sound quality is not as good as you would get from an actual speaker. I mean, because you can get some cool bass from certain speakers that have big magnets and things like that. But to get your music a little bit louder than it usually can get, stereo speakers was a fantastic idea. Now, there are three bonus features on this phone that I definitely liked on this phone. The first one being that with either, I guess, a separate purchase or sometimes with some bundles, you can get this within the purchase of the phone. It has a dual screen option, and where it's a dual screen case. So with this option, you can basically put on the case and have two screens on this phone. So you have the main screen here, and then the second screen on the dual screen case, where you can have two applications running at the same time on this phone, which is totally awesome. I mean, it's kind of like having a second monitor for your PC, which is cool. However, it's not, since this is not an actual PC, you can't for example, with Microsoft Teams, you can't do one thing with one screen and then show the, I would say, images or the people that are logged in on another screen. And that's what I was hoping that it could happen, because I was looking for a computer or something like this, or something in a small form factor, to be able to use Microsoft Teams, because that's what my school uses for remote teaching and learning. And like I said, I sometimes don't want to carry my big laptop with me, so that was the main reason why I wanted to try this phone, to see if I could use Microsoft Teams and use the dual screen independently for that one app. And that can't happen. You can have one app open on one screen and one app open on another screen, but you can't have one app and do two independent things from that one app with the dual screen, which was kind of unfortunate, but it is what it is. But like I said, the dual screen is pretty cool. And even with the dual screen, so you can have, like I said, one application open on that dual screen. With this phone, by yourself, or on this screen by yourself, you can get the split view, where you can have one app on the top, one app on the bottom. So you can have basically three apps open at the same time. How cool is that? The next cool feature that wasn't advertised is stylus support. So if you have an active stylus, such as a Wacom bamboo stylus, you can actually use a stylus, as you can see as I'm doing right now, to navigate on the phone. This is really, really awesome. This is basically a stab at Samsung and the Note series, where with this phone it's under $1,000 and you still have pen stylus support. That is absolutely awesome. And the other bonus feature is that this has desktop mode, where you can connect this to a monitor or a television set with HDMI and independently have a screen that looks like a desktop on that monitor or TV, where you can navigate your phone on that screen and still use your phone independently from that desktop mode. And that's another stab at Samsung with Samsung DeX. And like I said, they have all of these features that I've mentioned for an under $1,000 phone. That makes this phone one of the most versatile phones I've ever purchased, ever. Now, although I'm giving praises to this phone, there's a couple of dislikes that I don't like, and I'll just go through those really quickly. The first thing that I noticed about this phone is kind of hefty. I mean, I'm not really a big fan of big phones or phablets, what they used to be called, but this 6.8-inch screen plus this weight is not doing it for me. I like smaller phones because I do not have big hands, but I mean, you can get used to holding this phone, and comparing it to some other phones that I have in my arsenal, it's not that heavy, but I mean, compared to this iPhone 6s, it's definitely a lot heavier, and that's something that I don't like. Another thing I don't like is with the stylus. Even though it's awesome that you can use it with the phone, there's no way to store it like the stylus on the Note series phones. So those styluses can be tucked away, pulled right out to take a quick note, put back away really quickly. With this one, you got to take it out your pocket or take it out your bag, write your note. And like I said, it's not as fluid as, using a stylus on the Note series phone. So you do your note, then you gotta put it in your pocket or put it in your bag again. That's just a little too much. And like I said, because the stylus is a lot bigger than the stylus on your Note series phones, it's just a little cumbersome to have in your pocket. Third thing I don't like, and I was really not a witness to this particular thing because I have not owned a lot of LG phones. And I think this is my first one I've ever owned. From what I've read online, they don't update their phones as much as Samsung or Apple does. So I know that this phone can support Android 11. And I've read that in some places in the world, the update for it is available. However, it's not available in the US. In fact, this is a T-Mobile branded phone, and T-Mobile is still testing out Android 11 on this phone. So the update is not available to this date, February 10th, 2021. But I do hope that it is released where the cool features will be accessible on this phone. And the last thing that I don't like about this phone is that desktop mode, because it was first supposed to be released for consumers, not consumers, excuse me, released for developers first, to be able to get their image on the bigger screen to do certain developer stuff. But it was discovered by a consumer or YouTuber consumer that was shared to everybody else. And because, again, it wasn't really developed for the consumer, it is not as polished as Samsung DeX. Now, like I said, it's cool to have the option of using your phone on the monitor, but again, it's not as polished as Samsung DeX. It's not even half as polished as Samsung DeX, so you won't get a lot of the same features as Samsung DeX, but it's still a nice addition to have on your phone if you want to use it on a bigger monitor. Okay, to wrap up this review, so like I said, I've given high praises to this phone for the features that it has, especially the bonus features that weren't necessarily advertised on this phone, that basically takes a stab at Samsung phones. So with your pen support, headphone jack, that was a big Samsung thing that they held on to even after Apple took theirs away. The power button on the side, it even has a fingerprint reader that I necessarily don't use. I just use the power button to turn it on and off real quick. Stereo speakers. So like I said, a lot of great features that the phone has. However, comparing this to the Note, it's not as polished as the Note. And because of that, even though the dislikes that I have are very minute, they really, in my opinion, overpower the likes that I have for this phone, which told myself that this was a good run. I used it for a couple of weeks. It really was cool, but not as cool as a Note, and so that's why I am selling this phone on eBay. But I'm not upset too much, because when I did buy this and I bought the whole kit, so I got the dual screen case, the phone, the box and accessories that came with it, I bought it for $500. So selling it on eBay right now is less than a day left on the auction. It's already up to $415, so I'm pretty happy that I'm getting most of my money back that I've purchased this phone for. So if you see it on eBay, go ahead and get it, bid on it. Hope you get it. It's in great condition, and I have a lot of extras that I'm including on this phone. But that's my review. Like I said, I'm not even dissing this phone. This phone is fantastic. If it wasn't for my love for the Samsung Note series, I would definitely use this as my flagship device, my daily driver. But like I said, I'm more drawn towards the Notes, and I'm actually going back to the Note. So you'll see a new video pretty soon on an unboxing, excuse me, of the Note that I decided to get. So make sure you peep that. And if you like this review, definitely leave a thumbs up on the bottom. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already. Tell your friends about my channel, and I hope to see you in my next video.